Hey guys, I want to do a quick intro for this video. Go slowly through this and stop along the way as you need. There is a lot of theory and I wanted to make this video as short as possible. So instead of doing like a half an hour and getting into each point in each one of the lessons, instead I just kind of like breeze through a lot of it that you guys can kind of watch and stop and watch and stop and watch and stop on your way and really try to digest the whole thing. So hey everybody, all right, I want to do something different. This is going to be a little bit of a songwriting lesson just because I had a student, we were going through kind of melody building and some common mistakes that we all make, especially with our ears, you know, when we're just kind of getting into this stuff. This is great for guitar players as well to understand this, leading tones, and a little bit of the theory behind it. I'm not going to get too theory. I do want to make it very practical for you guys, but you know, if you're writing a song and you don't want to let the song be complete, you want to match the melody up to the message, to the lyrics, leave the listener wanting a little bit more. This is the same with guitar playing, and kind of understanding what notes will move into what resolutions and how to either resolve them or leave them hanging a little bit more. Like I said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stay very major key and I'm going to stay very diatonic for this one, because there are plenty more where we're getting into undiatonic chord changes, non-diatonic chord changes, and minor and all of that stuff. But I'm going to stay very major for this one. It's going to be pretty basic. If I play a G, I'm going to stay all in G, 1, a 4, and a 5 chord. What we see the most of, because this is where our ears want to go, whether it's guitar playing or a songwriter melody building, is this idea. Right? Everything is resolving because that's where we want it to go. Back to that one. Right? And that is our home base. That's our resolution that makes everything feel really comfortable. But it doesn't leave anything left for the listener. So if you're writing, especially if your lyrics are not going to be complete, you don't necessarily want to give that one away at the end of each phrase. Unless it's the end of the phrase and you're moving on to either another section or the song is over. And that's the same with guitar playing. Now, if you just switch that a little bit, I'm just ending on a third and then the 1. My 3 and then my resolution. So I'm just going up to the third of the chord, a third of the scale, and then back down to the 1. So for you guys, I'm going to do a lot in this major scale. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I hope that you guys can grasp that major scale right now. That's definitely going to help. So something to consider is not always coming back to that 1. Now, if you really want to leave everything hanging, but you want to have that solid ground, right? Your solid foundation, your chords, right? That big 1, but you're not quite done. That third will allow for that sound. You can hear it wants to get down to that 1. So a great way to end a phrase and then to kind of keep the listener wanting more. What I love is if you have a chorus or something like a really big solid chorus, is maybe just fool around with it, but maybe on the first and the second chorus, you end the whole phrase on that third. And believe it or not, that is actually going to drum up just a little bit of tension, a little bit of wanting more, and then that very last chorus, give them that 1 and let the whole thing kind of sit, and that wraps everything up. The other one, so the chord tones that are really leading into our tonic, into our 1, into our root, are going to be our 7, for your solfege people, your T-do, and your 2 to a 1. You can really hear both of those. Your 7 to your 1 really wants to pull together, and same with the 2. All right, so staying away from those unless you're ready to resolve is really important. Now, the one more that does also work is our 6. The 6 is a very predominant chord tone in our 4 chord. It wants to go back to that 1, but not every time. So, like we were talking about ending a phrase on the 3rd, sorry guys, I hope this isn't too much, on the 3rd of your 1 chord, where your 1 chord gives it this solid bass, but that 3rd is what leaves it hanging just a little bit. You could do the same thing with your 5th. So if I have my 6, I can take that 6 down to my 5. Right? It sounds resolved. It's standing on solid ground. That 5 is still a really strong chord tone. It's not the 1, and it's not quite as lofty, kind of out there as the 3rd, but it's still not going to give you a full resolution. All right. So another thing to consider. Now, if I were to take those same ideas, all right, and take the solid ground away, but leave the resolution, now you have something a little bit more interesting happening. So I want to talk about a deceptive cadence in that matter, where if I have 1, 4, 5, and let's say I have this like, that resolution that sounds very strong, but not. All right, so now, what's happening there? It's resolving back to the tonic of the key. The only reason it sounds so unstable at that moment is because what's underneath it. So my 6th chord. So what's happening is your deceptive cadence, the reason it's called a deceptive cadence, is it's your 5 up to the 6, which has similar chord tones as your 1. So it's deceiving in the fact that it almost sounds resolved, but not quite. So if you're taking this 5 chord, right? What we're actually doing is we're ending on the 3rd of the 6th chord, the minor 3rd of the 6th chord. Like I said, that 3rd is what gives it a little bit of a lofty sound. So now it almost sounds like, you know, your house is built and it looks great, but the foundation under it is a little bit shaky. I love using that. Like I said, if you had a chorus that kind of ended, you know, there, whenever you went back to your 1 on your 3rd, and then on one time you had it landing back under your tonic, but you switched and you didn't have your strong bass and you did your 6. The same thing, bear with me guys, I'm gonna move fast so you guys can go through this video a little bit slow and part by part. The same idea. Right now, I'm going back to my 1, but I'm landing on I'm ending the phrase on the 4 chord. Right? Not quite resolved. That tonic now, that G, is the 5 of my 4 chord. So it still has a sense of strength, but it's not going to be completely resolved because it has the 4 chord underneath it. Right, and then you can obviously bring it back to the 1 while holding on to it. So some ideas. I have a song right now that's coming out, and the whole purpose of this song is to subtly build tension. All right, the song it's a very dark song. The chorus sounds very major key and very happy, but I don't want it to have that resolution. So I knew you don't die too soon. It's still on that 4. It's still leaving a little something right there to kind of to pull it all together. So these are all things to consider. The very, very last part of this that I do want to talk about, if you guys were able theory-wise to get into this, is going to be your the last part, your flat or your minor 4 chord, which I love. So you guys have heard this. Now this builds. That builds so much tension and it resolves back. Why I love how that chord really pulls together is it wants to resolve back to the 1, but it already has the 1 in it, where all of the other chords don't. All the other chords dance around the 1, having your 7 or your 2 wanting to come back to that root note. This, right? It builds up so much tension while leaving your tonic there. All right, so that is an amazing way. If what you're saying is so unstable and so unready to finish, is right. It just leaves everything hanging. So you guys could try that minor 4 chord. See how it goes. It is very tensive. And then one other way that I love using that minor 4 chord is, you know, kind of in that. All right, so you're kind of like resolving everything back to that 1. Super strong. Give that minor 4 chord. Staying on that 1, that tonic, and then back to the 1 chord. It just gives it like everything's done. You're gonna mix it up a little bit. No, you're gonna bring it back again. So just some really, really cool ideas that I want you guys to try. Now that minor 4 chord, its relative major is our flat 6 chord. So on our G, it would be our E flat, right? So really you're dancing around that minor 3rd. Why I love it, and the last part that I'm gonna kind of show you guys is the very, very end of the song that I showed you. The very, very last chorus is, and if you don't die too soon. So I'm ending on my tonic, but building it completely around not just my minor 4 chord, but my flat 6 chord. And actually even making it a major 7 to make it a little bit more tensive. So I could, and if you don't die too soon, right? Everything comes together now. And if you don't die too soon is way more tensive. If I wanted to back it off, that tensiveness a little bit, and if you don't die too soon, it's like, all right, not quite finished, but not as tensive. And then if I wanted to do, that was ending on my 4 chord. If I wanted to end on my minor 4, and if you don't die too soon, it still wants to go somewhere. So that is just, I did that very, very much on purpose to kind of drill in the idea that the song is incredibly tensive. And the story of the song is actually not over, even though the song itself is. So I hope that was cool. I tried to make this video as short as I could. So we're up over 13 minutes. I hope you guys dig it. And let me know. I'll be doing a bunch more videos coming. Thanks, guys.